Hey guys, Zorant here, and today we're going to be going over some battles I had earlier. This is the first time I've done PvP since they introduced traits and gear, and I plan on doing weekly PvP videos to try and get better. So anyway, here's the first match we're going to go over. I'm playing against Jeb. He starts it off by sending out his Rise and Gazma, and I'm going to throw out my Grandpa and Sherald. Rise's Demoralize trait will lower the speed of both my Tems. I use Hypoxia against his Rise and Crystal Spikes against Gazma. He ends up switching the Gazma out for Pigapek. He's pretty tanky, so it's not going to do too much. And I was expecting Hypoxia to do more damage, but they did nerf all damage in the latest patch by decreasing all damage by 50%. Even with my hand fan gear that Grandpa is holding, it still doesn't do too much to Rise. And with Pigapek on the field now, I want to put him to sleep so he can't support by using Bamboozle or anything else. And I use Crystallize for Sherald so I can increase his defense by 2 stages since I've been attacked by Ember from Rise, and that's a physical move. And my Sherald is holding Ice Cube, which decreases the fire damage amount taken. Even though Sherald's HP is already at half, this extra defense should still help because it's a pretty tanky Tem to begin with. Although, getting close to death there. For this next turn, I choose to go Windburst on Rise, and since Sherald has such low stamina, I'm not sure if I should do anything, so I just wait my turn. And Windburst does a bit of damage to Rise, and Grandpa's now in the red, while Pigapek is still asleep. Well, now it's awake. I end up going with Hypoxia on Rise, but maybe I should have just went with Windburst. That probably still could have killed. I'm not sure if it would have killed me with the stamina that I ended up going over. I'm not sure. We go Crystal Dust on Pigapek, which barely does anything, and Jeb has his Pigapek use Stone Wall, which increases its defense and special defense. I decide to bring in Gazma while Jeb brings in his Kinu. I should really work on getting a Nature Tem for my team at some point, and I'm pretty sure it'll be Kinu. I made a mistake here. I did not teach my Gazma Noxious Bomb at this point, but the next battles he'll have it. So I don't really have a way to deal with Kinu right now, although I probably should have brought in my Rise to deal with Kinu, but I didn't. I end up going with Crystal Dust to Kinu, since that's gonna be ×2. But it still doesn't do much because Sherald's special attack isn't super high. And now, since we've waited a turn, we're able to let Gazma use Electric Storm, which does quite a bit to Pigapek, and a little bit to Kinu. Kinu ends up putting Gazma to sleep, and I attack Kinu one more time with Crystal Dust. It's so close to dying, but I'm not able to take it out, so that sucks. And that will... yeah. It's not good. I throw out my Pigapek, and am about to make a big mistake here in a bit. But that's okay. I end up going for Rest on Gazma because he's asleep, and I use Bamboozle on Gazma to add a protective layer to him, which is basically the same thing as using Protect. And Kinu uses Revitalize to gain some HP, and then his Pigapek uses Bamboozle on Kinu, so Kinu's protected for the next turn as well. I have Gazma use Electric Storm again, and then we go for a Turbo Choreography on my team. We end up taking out Pigapek, and because Kinu was protected, it doesn't do anything. And then I use Turbo Choreography, and because it has the Synergy effect active, both of my Tems on the field get +2 to their speed. Jeb's Kinu uses Hypnosis on my Pigapek. And Lifeful Sap is still active on Kinu, so it's still gaining HP every turn. I forgot to mention that earlier. Okay, so it's not till now after the battle that I realized what Kinu's Benefactor trait does. When its ally is hit, it heals the ally for 10% of its max HP. And because my Pigapek has the Friendship trait, Chain Lightning won't hurt it. But if I'm being honest, I actually forgot about that and wanted to wake up Pigapek. And Lifeful Sap still has 2 more turns left. I really should have brought in Rise by now, I think. Maybe I could have taken it out. I definitely let it live too long with its trait and Lifeful Sap. Alright, but here's the big mistake I made. I use Hypnosis on a mental type, which doesn't do anything. So, yeah, that's fun. And then his Gazma uses Electric Storm, knocks out my Gazma, does a bit of damage to my Pigapek. I use Oshidashi on his Gazma, doesn't do a whole lot, because Pigapek's attack isn't too high to begin with, mostly a tank. He ends up using Hypnosis on Pigapek again, and now I finally decide it's time to bring out Rise. And my Rise's trait, Demoralize, drops both their speed down by 1 stage, and I end up having Rise use Fire Flame on Kinu and Pigapek, bamboozling itself to protect itself. But it was sleeping, so the only way it would have woke up is if it was hit by Chain Lightning, which would have killed it anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. And Kinu's Lifeful Sap here is still kicking my ass. The moral of this story is get rid of Kinu as fast as you can, at least in the current meta. Alright, and then his Gazma will take out my Pigapek with a DC Beam. And my Rise is still asleep. And then just when I thought the nightmare had ended, Kinu brings back Lifeful Sap again. I bring in Ukama to take Pigapek's place, because that's my last Tem. I have no other choice. I have Rise use Fire Tornado on Kinu. And then I go for a Water Cannon for Gazma. Jeb switches out his Nightmare for another Nightmare, and we get Calibus in its place. There's no winning for me in this one. But I'm hoping these videos help me and anyone watching know what not to do. We did end up taking out Gazma though, and then he brings out his Luma Ukama. I use King's Roar on both of Jeb's Tems to decrease their speed and attack. And I go for a Water Cannon on Calibus. Rise is almost taken out in 1 hit by Jeb's Water Cannon. And Toxic Ink will take my Ukama out. And now we only have 1 little lion left. Can you guess who wins? Do you think I'll make a comeback? Tune in next time. I almost died right there. Oh. Wait, I did. I forgot about that. Okay, so next up, we'll be playing against Jero. He starts off the match by sending out his Anahir and Vuller, and I send out Sherald and Ukama. This is a good start for me, because Ukama is good against both of those. So I'm expecting him to switch one out at least. He switches out for Whiplump, and I switch out Sherald for Pigapek here. I really wish he would have switched out Anahir instead, but he didn't, so Whiplump barely took any damage from that Water Cannon. His Anahir uses Heat Up, which increases its attack by 2 stages. I go for a Water Cannon onto Anahir, which does quite a bit, almost taking it out in 1 hit. And I have Turbo Choreography used on my team, so I can gain +1 speed for both. No synergy effect, though. He uses Tsunami, which barely does anything to either of my Tems, and then he has his Anahir. He uses Rampage, which hits both as well, but doesn't do too much damage. Also, Anahir's trait is if it's hit by a physical move, it lowers its physical defense. If it's hit by a special move, it lowers its special defense. And that's because Anahir's defense is really high, and that's just a detrimental trait that it has to make up for it. And with a Water Cannon, we take out his Anahir. I have my Pigapek use Oshidashi on Whiplump, which doesn't do a whole lot. I was hoping it would do a little bit more than that, but Whiplump uses Noxious Bomb on Ukama, taking it out. I decide to bring in good old Grandpa here, while Jero brings back in his Vuller, which is good for me because Wind is super effective against Earth types. I go for Hypoxia on his Vuller, and use Bamboozle on my Grandpa to protect him from the next turn. Hypoxia ends up taking out Vuller in 1 shot. And because of the Bamboozle that I put on my grandpa. It ends up being protected from the tsunami attack. And Pigapik is barely living here. Jero sends out Nesla, which I think is going to be hard to deal with. And then I remember I do have something that could take care of that, which is my Sherald. I attack Whiplimp with Hypoxia, which only does half damage. I was thinking it would still do a little bit more than that, but it doesn't. And Nestle uses Chain Lightning and takes out Pigapek and leaves my grandpa with 3 HP. And Whiplimp uses a Noxious Bomb to take out my grandpa, as well as taking itself out in the process due to stamina. And now is when I can bring in Sherald and take care of his Nesla. I also bring in Gazma. And Jero brings in his Sherald as well. I actually forgot I had Noxious Bomb on him. And I forgot I used that on Nesla in this game. So I use that. Does ×2 because it's a water type as well. And then I use Crystal Dust on Nesla to take it out and finish it off. So now Jero has to bring in his last Tem. But he uses Crystal Spike on my Gazma, taking Gazma out. So now we're both down to our last 2. And I have Rise sent out, and Jero has... Let's wait for this speed to decrease here. Jero brings out Barnshee. I end up going for Crystal Spikes on Barnshee, Fire Flame on his Sherald. His Barnshee attacks my Rise with Hypoxia, doing half my HP. And I use Crystal Spikes, one-shotting his Barnshee there. And he ends up attacking my Rise, not doing too much damage. And because Fire is 2 times effective to Crystal, I think we have this one. I end up using Fire Flame on his Sherald, and he uses Crystal Spikes back at me in a last attempt effort to take out my Rise. But it still does not take me out. It just takes him out instead. And that is that one. Some fun games I had today, though, for sure. Okay, and this last one is just going to be me getting my ass kicked by Jeb. He wanted me to upload it, so I guess I will. But I'm not doing commentary on this one. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll be making more videos like this in the future, so stick around if you want. I also stream Temtem a lot on Twitch, so you can check that out too.